So now that I have the data in there like this, what I need to do is I need to get the data looking like that. So how do I get the data from this to that? And I need to do what's called parsing the data. So right here, I'm going to show you how to parse the data. And what I want to do is I want to establish some sort of a pattern which I could check, right? So here you can see I found a pattern of true and then a bunch of falses and true and a bunch of falses. And where those trues come, which is right there at the name, I can then say, okay, from there, grab that cell and put it here. And grab this cell and put it there. And grab that cell and put it here. And if there's anything there, put it right there. And if there's anything two down, put it right there. So I will get all of my data into separate columns on the same row. And then what I could do is I could just sort on this, on true, and it'll give me all of my records together. So let me show you how that works. What I did to determine if, to find this pattern was I first used the value function. And I said, just take the value of whatever's in that cell. So when that cell is negative 51, which is for whatever reason how the reviews come in, there's 51 reviews. When I take the value of negative 51, it gives me negative 51. When I take the value of 439, it gives me 439. When I take the value of text, it gives me an error. So now I could use this formula here and I could say, is this an error? And it will come back and say, yes, true. Is that an error? No, false. Is that an error? No, false. So that is pretty much my solution and would be my solution if it wasn't for data anomalies. So this pattern of data here, all these 3 entries, those are all the same, but then right here it's different, right? The price is slightly different. And so this actually throws an error when I take a value on that. And so when I check to see is this an error, that's also true. And if I had only used these trues right here, then I'd be getting the wrong information. Oh, it's true, then grab this and put it here, right? It would give me the wrong information. So I actually need a single true out here for each entry. Here's another anomaly where I go from, is that a value? Nope, that's false. Is that a value? Yep, that's true. Is that a value? Nope, that's false. And so, did this throw an error? Yep, that threw an error. Did this throw an error? Yep, that threw an error. So I need some way to look at this pattern and then once again just sort of establish how do I uniquely identify just this row right here which has the name of the 10. And so to do that I wrote this formula right here, this function, and I said in the AND function, which you could find up under formulas and logical and right there, the AND function allows you to say, hey, are these all true? And if they are, then it will evaluate, like if is this true and is that true and is that true? 3 trues, all true. And then if I have one that's like, is this true and is this true? And this is false. And if there's one false, then they'll say, nope, they're not all true. One is false, so it's false. So if I say, hey, is this one here not false, right? Is this not false? Is that not false? And is that true? Because the not operator, and you might be like going, oh my gosh, how do I know about this stuff? Well, this is exactly how you know about it. you watch these videos, you go in and you're like, okay, I need to find some way to establish a pattern. What is a pattern that I could establish where I'll only take this first true and no other trues? Well, this one's true and these are all false, right? Whereas if this is true, well, there's a difference there. Those aren't all false, so that's a difference. So I need to find a unique pattern, right, to establish that is true and only that one and not this one. And to learn about these functions, again, it's just coming up here and, oh, what's that do? And not. What does that do? Changes false to true or true to false. So you just kind of come up here and start reading about them. So when I built this function, it's basically saying the function is and, well, let's look at it. Right here is fine. And this one, yeah, that's true. And not this one, so not false becomes true. And not this one, and not false again becomes true. And not this one, and not false once more becomes true. Right? So that's the pattern. It evaluates true there. This one would evaluate true because these and those 3 are false. But this one would not evaluate true because, well, not false, that would be true. Not false, that would be true. Not true, that would be false. And true. Right? Like that's what it's basically saying. So this one evaluate as false because that one became false in this expression the not 125, not E125, not true becomes false, so it all evaluates as false. So the point being is now I have this pattern of only trues wherever the name is. So that's how you kind of start parsing the data. And then I just say wherever this is true, so I put in an if function here. And the way you build that is like this. Logical if that's true, then return this value. Otherwise, actually I started with that value. Otherwise, return nothing, just 0. Right? So it gave me that. And then put in another logical if that is true, then return this value. Otherwise, return 0. There we go. And I do that for, here would check that one. Here would bring that one. It's checking that condition again, then returning that if it's true. Otherwise, it's 0. So when this one here checks, hey, is that true? Nope, it's not. So it just returns 0. Is that true? Nope, it's not, so it returns 0. And I could copy this all the way down, and what it's done now is it's just given me the records wherever it says true. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this whole table. There we go. And I'm going to press Control-C on my keyboard. And I'm going to create a new worksheet. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to go to the Home ribbon and choose Paste. I'm going to choose Paste as values because I only want to bring in the values, I don't want to bring in the formula. So I press that button and I get all of my data, and I also get this column with true and false. I'm just going to check here to see if there's anything in that B column. There's not, so I'm going to delete that column just so I have all my data together in one table. And now I'm going to come up to data, and I'm going to select this entire worksheet, and I'm going to choose sort Z to A, and it just sorted by the first column there, and we'll see sorting in the next video. You can see I now have all of my falses down here, so I'm going to select all those falses, and I'm going to press right click it and choose delete to get rid of them. And now I finally have all of this information, which is what I was looking for, so I could get rid of that column. I no longer need it. And I've got my tent titles, I've got the ratings, I've got the prices, I've got any other text that was here, and anything in column anything in column E that might be interesting. And there's nothing there other than 0, so I could actually delete that. And what if I wanted to get rid of all of these other zeros here? I could sort by, and let's just highlight this and make it one color just to prove to ourselves our data is staying together. And I could go to data and I could sort that by, and that data did stay together, so I could get rid of that one there. And I could select all of these, and I could press delete on my keyboard, get rid of all those, and I could come here and I could sort A to Z and just make sure, there we go, all my data did stay together, just double checking. Sometimes, if you're not careful, like if I had had a space, so just to illustrate, if I had a space here, let me actually go to this one. If I had a space here between those, a column space, and then let's put this column here. Let's highlight that. And now I'm going to sort by this, data sort by the first one. And you could see it didn't sort that with the table because it saw a space here, so it figured this was the table and this was something else. So if you have that space there, it won't sort your data together. So there we go. I've got all of my data sorted, and I've sorted it by tent name, and I know my prices, and I have any other text out here that they had about those tents on their website. And it's a pretty useful information. So that's a little bit about copying data from the web and sorting it. The last thing I want to say is there's a software called web scraping software, which is good.